Well, thank you so much. Good morning, everyone. It's a wonderful pleasure to be with you from Barbados this morning. And I'm very sorry that I wasn't able to join you a couple of days ago. I was under the weather. I would like to just mention that supporting this group of advocates has been something that's been near and dear to the hearts of the Canadian High Commission in Barbados, but also to the broader Government of Canada and Global Affairs Canada. I'd like to especially thank Maurice Tomlinson, the coordinator of the Intimate Conviction Conference Series, for inviting me to address you today. The last time that I was in a real, not in a Zoom session or over the phone, but face-to-face with Maurice was a day I remember very fondly. It was about 4.5 years ago in 2016 at the Dignity Initiative in Ottawa. We were doing consultations on Canada's Feminist International Assistance Policy, as well as an engagement session at the International Development Research Center. And it was a very significant day, not just because of the great discussions and connections that were made at the Dignity Initiative led by Maurice and many others, but because it was also the first day that the rainbow flag flew over Parliament Hill in Canada. And that was a day that I think a lot of people worked very, very hard for many years, and has left a lasting impression in the hearts and minds of people, not only in Canada, but in other places as well. Canada's progress on LGBTQ2 and intersex rights has historically been a result of civil society advocacy and legal challenges to discriminatory laws, starting with the 1969 discrimination of same-sex sexual activity between consenting adults of 21 years or older. At the time, Justice Minister and Attorney General of Canada, Pierre Trudeau, who eventually became the 15th Prime Minister of Canada, famously commented, "There's no place for the state in the bedrooms of the nation." Very much a sentiment of human rights and the way it was seen at the time in the late 60s. And really in the mindset of tolerance of differences. Where we are trying to move as the Government of Canada is moving far beyond tolerance of differences to celebrating diversity and inclusion. Although we've seen progress throughout the years, as a global community, there's still a lot of work needed to advance human rights and to protect persons so that they cannot be discriminated against because they engage in same-sex intimacy. Ultimately, we're trying to celebrate diversity, not merely accepting and tolerating differences, and we need to aspire towards inclusion, not tolerance. As human rights are universal, indivisible, interdependent, and interrelated, the promotion and protection of human rights, including freedom of religion or belief, is crucial, especially during these challenging times. In recent years, the federal government of Canada has demonstrated a new commitment to working collaboratively with LGBTQ2 and intersex communities, starting with the appointment of the Special Advisor on LGBTQ2 and intersex issues in 2016, and the subsequent appointment of the Minister of Diversity and Inclusion and Youth in 2019, which is supported by the Federal LGBTQ2 Secretariat. That is not to say that we have it right or that we're anywhere close to having it right. There are a lot of historical injustices that need to be corrected, that need to be reflected upon and learned from. We are in and on a journey, but that is not to say that we have it right or that we have yet got it all figured out. In the Canadian context, equality rights on the basis of sexual orientation have been affirmed by the Supreme Court in 1995. Under the Canadian Human Rights Act, sexual orientation are prohibited grounds of discrimination alongside race, national or ethnic origin, color, religion, age, sex, marital status, family status, genetic characteristics, and disability. Respect for diversity and inclusion is a key element of Canada's global efforts to protect and promote human rights, including freedom of religion and belief. Of note as well is the growing presence of LGBTQ2 and intersex inclusive religious organizations in Canada that have bridged the historical divide between LGBTQ2 and intersex people and persons and some religious institutions, and shifted the discussion toward inclusion, healing, and equal rights. These institutions play a key role in changing the sometimes dichotomous or opposing narrative between religion and LGBTQ2 and intersex rights in favor of collaboration to strive for a more inclusive society. Faith communities play a vital role in exemplifying how societies can strive for inclusion. In Canada, it's safe to say that a lot of the rights that have been gained for LGBTQ2 and intersex persons have been the result of legal actions and moving towards equality under the law. Where we need to move in greater emphasis is in the societal norms and attitudes that are moving greater towards inclusion and celebration of diversity, as opposed to the strict legal tenets. Canada, through its diplomatic missions abroad, has been actively advocating for all individuals to be treated with respect and dignity, regardless of their sexual orientation, gender expression, or gender identity. So this event is part of that wider engagement. Before I finish, I'd like to take this opportunity to commend all of you for participating in the Second Intimate Conviction Conference. Advocating for human rights of all kinds throughout history has never been something easy. Civic rights, racial rights, religious rights, economic rights, political rights have always required courageous action from individuals to lead the way for change and bring acceptance of difference. Many of the people on this Zoom conference have faced discrimination and violence and cruelty in your own lives and have, through your courage, moved the goalpost and created opportunities to people who came after you. By your courage, you've opened up the conversation and created a world that is more attuned to diversity and inclusion than it was previously. And through our actions together, we'll continue to move that close. Canada supports the work that you're doing across the Commonwealth, and I wish you a productive conference, which I know is already well underway, and I'm sorry I'm a couple of days late. As you move through the various panel discussions over the next few days, I've had the privilege this morning of listening in to some of the discussions. I found them very inspiring, and I look forward to hearing the outcomes of the deliberations. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you very much, Steve. I must thank the High Commission for its support of our community here. Sometimes I think that it probably riles some people up that what may look like outside interference is getting in the way, but it's clearly not in the grand scheme of things. So thank you, everybody at the High Commission. I've only been to Canada once to visit my sister-in-law, and what struck me there was that mixed relationships were the norm. Mixed race relationships were the norm, and that's been my history over the past 40 years. And I thought it was rather wonderful. And I thought that the oratory to St. Joseph in Montreal was wonderful too, and bless Saint Brother Andrew. Good. Well, now we move on to our panel. We move into Africa. And I thought that, as is my wont, I would show you someone who is watching over us. You will recognize him, I think, as Archbishop Tutu. It's a signed photograph of his, which says simply, God bless you. So let's take that God bless you as a God bless you to all of us here today.